supply of inorganic fertilizers. Additionally, government is facilitating the establishment and the expansion of local organic fertilizer production plants with support from Exim Bank. African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Mr. Speaker, we will pursue strategically opportunities that ensure that we take full advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, AfCFTA, as part of efforts to pursue an export-led economic recovery. The Ministry of Trade and Industry is working with over 200 Ghanaian companies to facilitate their entry into the African market, including about 70 1D1F companies. Additionally, the AfCFTA Guided Trade Initiative has been launched to start commercially meaningful trade. The products identified by the initiative include batteries, tea, coffee, ceramic tiles, processed meat products, cornstarch, sugar, and pasta, amongst others, in line with the AfCFTA focus on value chain development. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority will enhance its coordination role by facilitating support for sector stakeholders. Export trade houses will be established in selected markets to promote made-in-Ghana products brands, including the completion of the first ETH in Kenya. Additionally, opportunities will be created for local Ghanaian businesses and investors to invest in export products, transformation and value addition at the district level in partnership with the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. The Development Bank of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, government through the Development Bank of Ghana has established 500 million Ghana cedi special credit program, the DBG Emergency Economic Program, DEEP, to support businesses in agribusiness value chain over the next 5 years. The priority sectors are poultry, rice and cereals, pharmaceutical manufacturing, tourism, textiles and garments for investments to help build economic resilience. Mr. Speaker, to support SMEs with equity funding, DBG is also in the process of establishing a private equity fund with an initial capitalization of 30 million Ghana cedis or 400 million, 30 million US dollars or 400 million Ghana cedis. DBG has fully onboarded 4 participating financial institutions and will engage other financial institutions to expand its loan channels. A total of 7 loans amounting to 245 million was to SMEs, saving over 1,000 jobs. DBG has partnered with a PFI to build a digital lending platform to shorten the processing time for lending to SMEs and increase its ability to reach a lot more businesses across the country. Mr. Speaker, the National Insurance Commission is spearheading the development of agricultural insurance for farmers through the Ghana Agriculture Insurance Pool. GhanaWeb provides traditional agriculture insurance and index-based weather insurance products to commercial farmers and smallholder farmers. An estimated $400 million in agriculture insurance will be extended to eligible farmers in 2023. Mr. Speaker, as part of efforts to ensure power is affordable for industrial, commercial, and residential use, government has substantially completed a renegotiation and restructuring exercise of power purchase agreement with 6 operational independent power producers, namely Car Power, Power, Early Power, Twin City Energy, AXA Energy, and Senate Energy. Government, of course, is looking for the resources to fund these agreements. Government has also pursued cost-cutting and green initiatives, including conversion to a tolling model, refinancing of expensive debt, profiling of tariffs, and switching power plants from imported liquid fuel to finance locally produced natural gas as a primary resource. On connectivity to the national grid, a total of 157 communities were linked to the national grid as of September 2022. The Ministry of Energy will further connect an additional 400 towns, 4 Chef 5 and 10 key projects in 2023. Mr. Speaker, substantial progress has been made on coastal fishing ports and landing sites. This has been made in the development of 12 coastal fish landing sites and 2 fishing ports along the coast of Ghana, namely Azim and Diskov in the western region, Mori, Fansimane, Kumfi, Mumford, Winneba, Senyabreku, Gomafet, and Mena in the central region, Teshi, Osu, and Jamestown in the greater Accra region, and Keta in the Volta region. Mr. Speaker, overall, the project is about 95% complete and will ensure safe launching and landing of artisanal fishing canoes and promote hygienic environmental conditions. Mr. Speaker, on climate change, global warming poses major threats to the economies of climate-vulnerable countries like Ghana. According to the Vulnerable 20 Loss and Damage Report, Ghana lost 15.2 billion from 2000 to 2019 to climate change. According to the World Bank Group's new country climate and development report for Ghana, incomes could reduce by up to 40% for poor households by 2050 and a loss of about 1 million jobs if urgent climate actions are not taken. Mr. Speaker, at COP27, the government took the opportunity to leverage its bilateral engagements to expand consultation on debt for nature swaps, as well as increase private sector investments to accelerate our transition to low carbon growth and finance our climate action measures. Mr. Speaker, I can report that Ghana has assumed the presidency from 2022 to 2024 of the Climate Vulnerable Forum and the chair of the Vulnerable 20 Group of Ministers of Finance of Governments. Government will leverage this opportunity to accelerate our climate agenda, which is outlined in Ghana's climate prosperity plans. Social protection. Mr. Speaker, even amidst the current difficulties, we remain committed to implementing Ghana's social protection programs. We will not renege on our responsibilities towards the vulnerable and socially excluded, and the implementation of our various social protection programs will be expanded. Mr. Speaker, the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program, LEAP, has since its inception in 2008 supported extremely poor and vulnerable households, increasing beneficiary coverage from 144,000 in 2015 to 344,000 households, comprising 1.8 million individuals as of September 2022. Government is committed to expanding coverage to all 2.5 million extreme poor individuals as estimated by the Ghana Living Standard Survey by 2024, while improving efficiency through digitalization and assessments. Government will, in 2023, increase the value of the LEAP grant from the average of 41.75 Ghana cedis per household to about 95.19 cedis bi-monthly. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana School Feeding Program, which provides one hot nutritious meal each year for 3.4 million beneficiary pupils in public basic schools as of December 2021, will be sustained and increase budgets
Honorable
to the
Minister, just a minute. The second Deputy Speaker to take the temporarily. I'll be back soon.
Thank you. Every race is here.
Yes, Minister, let's go. Yes, Honourable Minister, let's go on.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker,
Honorable members.
Mr. Speaker, in 2023, the feeding grant will be increased to reflect the current cost of living. The program will also strengthen domestic production by sourcing locally produced food from the National Buffer Stock Company. Capitation grant. Mr. Speaker, government abolished the charging and payments of all forms of fees, levies in all public basic schools and replaced them with the capitation grant in 2005. This has contributed to steady increases in enrollment over the years. Mr. Speaker, government will continue to strengthen monitoring to address teething challenges in the implementation of the policy, which include timely release of the grants, misuse of funds, transparency, and poor bookkeeping and value of grant amounts. Mr. Speaker, in fulfillment of government's commitment to improve road infrastructure, the Ministry of Roads and Highways continued its nationwide road and bridge constructive program. Works on the La Beach Road project and the construction of a 3-tier interchange at Nungwa area are progressing steadily. Works on the interchange currently stand at 62%. Construction of the Kumasi Lake Roads and drainage extension projects is almost complete and stands at 97%. Work is ongoing on the 17.85 kilometer of Anko in Sawam Dual Carriage Road, which is scheduled to be completed in May 2024. Mr. Speaker, dualization on the Tema Flower and the Tema Kosombo Road has commenced. Works are ongoing on the rehabilitation of Asimfusu, Asimfrasu Road, including the dualization of 1.2 kilometers of Asimfusu Township roads into a 4-lane carriageway is at 53% completion. Additionally, work on the reconstruction of Bichem, Techimanchia, Akumadan, Aguna and Kwanta Road, Taka roads at 21% and 7% completion respectively. Work on phase 2 of the Obecha-Vilamte Circle interchange and ancillary work is at 71% completion. Additionally, construction of the flyover over the Accra-Tema motorway from the Flower Port runabout is 56% complete. Mr. Speaker, to improve connectivity in the areas cut off by waterways, work on the construction of 50 number prefabricated bridges continued in 2022. Progress of the new bridge being constructed over River Pra to separate vehicular traffic from the rail along the Triple Prasu-Dunka Road is at 87% completion. Mr. Speaker, the critical regional and interregional road projects initiated in 2019 are at various stages of completion. Completed projects include upgrading of the Golukwate-Vli Road, upgrade of Insuta Beposolo 3, rehabilitation of Nkonja Rompong Kwame Krom, partial reconstruction of Bojwase Adeso, and resealing of Talame Salaga Road. Progress on the following roads, among others, have achieved significant progress. Upgrades of Navrongo Naga Road, upgrading of Wa Bulenga Yala Road, upgrading of Salaga Ekumdepe Pandai Road, Pandai Nkachina Road, rehabilitation of Atibubu Kwame Dansu roads, upgrading of Anyang Panta Obwasi Road, rehabilitation of New Abrim Ofosokuma Road, upgrading of Sepiriaso Akontombra Road, upgrading of Akrodie Sariaso Road, rehabilitation of selected roads in Greater Accra. Mr. Speaker, contract works under the Master Project Support Agreement of Sino Hydro Corporation Limited are stages of completion. Tamale Intergent Road, 100% complete. Western Region and Cape Coast Inner City Roads, 100% complete. Upgrading of selected feeder roads in Ashanti and Western Region, 100% complete. Construction of Hohoi, Jasikan, Dodi, Pepeso, 100% complete. PTC Runabout Intergent Project Takrade, 60%. Sunyani Inner City Roads, 63%. Kumasi Inner City Roads, 10%. Mr. Speaker, in 2023, a number of pipeline projects which are at various stages of preparation will be pursued. This includes construction of Accra-Kumasi Road and Yunnan Bypass, construction of Accra-Kumasi Road, Konongo Bypass, construction of Adedome-Asikam Junction and Asuchueri-Aveyimi, including 2 number interchanges at the Dufour, Adedome and Asikomi Junction, Kaswa Cape Coast dualization of Sekendia Dembra roads, Takoradi Agona and Kwanta Apemanim, construction of bridge over the Volta River at Bolivo, Buepe, Ape and Daboya bridges, and also a Chiamam Bridge and Dipe, Ituri and Ankombra bridges. Mr. Speaker, government is pursuing the strategic decision to procure the 27.7 kilometers of the Accra-Tema motorway and extensions project through the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. A PPP concession agreement backed by an appropriate toll arrangement will be presented to Parliament for approval to facilitate its execution. Provision has also been made in the 2023 and the medium-term budget for the equity and viability gap funding required by a GIF special purpose vehicle to enable the project to start in earnest in 2023. The project will be delivered in phases. Mr. Speaker, the iconic nature of the project is such that when completed, there will be 5 lanes each on both sides of the main Accra-Tema motorway stretch and 6 lanes each on the Tetekwashi-Apenkwa stretch of the road. The project will include the remodeling of Tetekwashi interchange, the reconstruction of the Apenkwa interchange, and the construction of new interchanges at the Fiesta Royal Crossroads and Neoplan area. Debt Exchange Program. Mr. Speaker, the debt sustainability analysis based on the macroeconomic outlook has been conducted by the Ministry of Finance. It analyzes the country's capacity to finance its policy objectives and service its debts. It covers publicly guaranteed debt of central government and partial non-guaranteed debt of SOEs. The sustainability of our debt has been continuously affected by the negative impact of exchange rate depreciation, particularly on external debt, as well as the crystallization of significant contingent liabilities in recent years. The current debt sustainability analysis conducted reveals that Ghana is now considered to be in high risk of debt distress. Mr. Speaker, despite the heightened debt levels, government remains committed to ensuring that debt is brought to sustainable levels over the medium to long term. To this end, we will implement a debt exchange program to address the challenges identified in the portfolio, in collaboration with all relevant stakeholders, including the Ghanaian public, investor community, bilateral countries, and development partners, and foreign bond investors. Furthermore, government will continue to strengthen its oversight of all SOEs, in particular financial and energy sectors. The reforms and discipline at the SOEs will reduce potential fiscal risk from incidents of contingent liabilities. Mr. Speaker, in line with our objective to restore debt sustainability, concessional loans will continue to be the preferred financing option for projects. We, however, recognize that there may be cases where non-concessional borrowing may be required to finance critical transformative projects. Such financing will be determined within limits that are consistent with our debt sustainability program. We inform this House at the mid-year fiscal policy review of projects that will be financed within our non-concessional borrowing limits. Accordingly, we will not publish any list of projects to be financed from external non-concessional loans in this budget, previously titled Appendix 10C. Implementation of the Cabinet Directives on Expenditure Measures. Mr. Speaker, as a first step toward expenditure rationalization, government has approved the following directives, which takes effect from January 2023. All MDAs, MMDAs, and SOEs are directed to reduce fuel allocations to political appointees and heads of MDAs, MMDAs, and SOEs by 50%. This directive applies to all methods of fuel allocation, coupons, electronic cards, system fuel depots. Accordingly, 50% of the previous year's budget allocation for fuel shall be earmarked for official businesses pertaining to these institutions. A ban, Mr. Speaker, on the use of V8s or V6s or its equivalent except for cross-country travel. All government vehicles will be registered with GV green number plates from January 2023. Mr. Speaker, limited budgetary allocations will be granted for the purchase of vehicles. For the avoidance of doubt, purchase of new vehicles shall be restricted to locally assembled vehicles. Only essential foreign travel across governments, including SOEs, shall be allowed. No official foreign travel shall be allowed for board members. Accordingly, all government institutions should submit a travel plan for the year 2023 by mid-December of all expected travels to the Chief of Staff. As far as possible, meetings and workshops should be done within the official environment or government facilities. Government-sponsored external training and staff development activities at the Office of the President, ministries, and SOEs must be put on hold for the 2023 financial year. Reduction of expenditure on appointments, including salary freezes, together with suspension of certain allowances like housing, utilities, and clothing. A freeze on new tax waivers for foreign companies and review of tax exemptions for free zone mining, oil and gas companies. A hiring freeze for civil and public servants. No new government agency shall be established in 2023. There shall be no hampers for 2022. There shall be no printing of diaries, notepads, calendars, and other promotional merchandise by MDAs, MMDAs, and SOEs for 2024. All non-critical projects must be suspended for 2023 financial year. Mr. Speaker, government cares deeply about our people and is very concerned about the current plight and the future of our country. The 2023 budget has been prepared with high expectations for the aspiration of Ghanaians and the brighter prospects of our economy to transition into other middle income within a decade. It reflects, Mr. Speaker, our determination and resolve to confront the current daunting economic challenges facing our nation head-on and reset the economy. In the immediate term, we will work towards securing an agreement with the International Monetary Fund, execute a debt exchange program, improve the management of foreign exchange, and support our local productive capacity for food security. We are confident that the measures outlined in the 2023 budget will redirect us on the path of macroeconomic and stability and growth. Mr. Speaker, the mission ahead is for the determined and not the pessimists. We acknowledge that our people have been severely impacted by the current economic challenges. As a responsive government, we have acted swiftly and boldly by developing the PCPEC and will work with local and international partners to implement it. Mr. Speaker, the 2023 budget will focus on government resolve to structurally transform the economy. We plan to aggressively mobilize domestic revenue, boost local productive capacity, promote a diversified and vibrant value-added export sector, streamline expenditures, protect the poor and vulnerable, expand the digital and fiscal infrastructure with climate awareness, and, Mr. Speaker, to implement structural and public sector reforms. We will continue, Mr. Speaker, to implement the implementation of key interventions like the Youth Start program, economic enclaves, 1D, 1F, technology hubs with the limited resources that we have complemented with the support from Development Bank of Ghana. Specifically on Youth Start, we intend to support 30,000 youth, and under the economic enclaves, we intend to develop 110,000 acres of land for rice, maize, soya bean, as well as poultry. Funding will be sought from the 500 million Development Bank of Ghana Fund and GOG sources. We'll also be aligning support from our development partners to boost growth in the real sector, focusing mainly on agriculture, entrepreneurship, and value addition. Mr. Speaker, as I have indicated, it has become even more urgent to mobilize domestic revenue, especially in times like this, when our access to the international capital markets is largely closed. We urgently need to restore debt sustainability, macroeconomic stability, and grow the economy. As a responsible government, we will take the hard, unpopular, but necessary decisions to build back better and emerge stronger. Mr. Speaker, the post-COVID, we identified the need to ramp up our domestic revenue mobilization efforts to match the performance of our peers and finance our development agenda. Last year, we started with the e-levy, which has not yielded the resources as expected, and have made appropriate modifications. Mr. Speaker, we know that we have to keep the lights on at the cost of $1 billion annually. We know that we have to keep the hospitals running and ensure that over 5.5 million Ghanaians on NHIS are properly catered for. We know that we need to keep our schools running and pay the over 300,000 teachers every month. We know that we need to keep our hospitals and pay the over 119,000 nurses every month, to keep the law courts open and ensure timely access to justice, and keep the local assemblies working to deliver essential social services to our people. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minister, hold on. I will see the seat to the right, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Minister, you may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it has also become clear that we cannot take the territorial integrity and internal cohesion of our country for granted. In the last couple of years, we have invested significantly in retooling the security sector to maintain territorial integrity, improve internal security. We have procured various equipment, including motorbikes, vehicles, forward operating bases, recruiting of security personnel, among other interventions. Mr. Speaker, our ability to continue to deliver all these critical public services will require significant resources, and we believe that together we can raise the necessary revenues to implement them. Mr. Speaker, the demand for roads has become the cry of many communities in the country. Unfortunately, with the current economic difficulties and the absence of dedicated sources of funding for roads construction, it is difficult to meet all these demands. In that regard, we are proposing the implementation of the new revenue measure. The major one is an increase in the VAT rate 2.5 percentage points to help with roads and technology improvement. This increase is expected to yield 2.7 billion, which will be used, as I mentioned, to augment funding for our road infrastructure development and digitalization. This will be complemented by a major compliance program to ensure that we derive the maximum yields from existing revenue handles. Mr. Speaker, in this budget, we have highlighted the need for robust public sector reforms to complement the existing public financial management regime. Here, the focus is to introduce private sector participation in the retail subsector of the energy sector to reduce system losses and improve delivery of services for Ghanaians. Mr. Speaker, this afternoon, the senior national team, the Black Stars, will be representing our nation for the 4th time at the Football World Cup in Qatar. Let us continue to bear them up in prayer and offer our support for victory to bring this cup to Ghana. Mr. Speaker, working together, after missing the last tournament, we have risen again and taken our place in the world stage. Let us, Mr. Speaker, claim this victory and claim again that victory shall be us na abamu ewie. Mr. Speaker, we must be inspired by the re-emergence of the Black Stars on the world stage. We must work together to ensure that our economy rises again to the comfort of our people. The budget offers us a better opportunity to jointly work towards rebuilding the economy and rediscover our providential way towards our manifest destiny of greatness. So I say again, together let us rise. Mr. Speaker, let us not squander the opportunity to turn around and reset our economy, and create a brighter medium term for our country and its people. This is indeed the time to rebuild. This is the time not to destroy and to tear down. Let us work together for our collective benefits, as is said by Nehemiah, with unity of purpose, service to the Republic, and the abiding grace of God, we shall succeed. Mr. Speaker, we are a great people. No fiano, Mr. Speaker, Bahi. Mr. Speaker, no fiano, Bahi. Mr. Speaker, let us go forward, believing in the assurance of the psalmist that for the sake of the house of the Lord our God, I will seek your prosperity. Mr. Speaker, let me conclude, and I present to you the Inkabom, the unity budget. I beg to move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members,